take numbers and pay attention because you never know what's going to happen at the end of the day. I didn't know that I was going to be sitting here in this position just 2 years ago. Yeah, we invested all the savings we had into branching off.
So this had to work.
Yeah, it had to work. I was a sinner, and I was not always meant or felt like I was worthy to be in a bit. I never thought I'd be a business.
Welcome back to another episode of the Mind Your Own Business podcast. And today I've got with me Gage Holsombeck. Did I say that correctly?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you. And what's the name of your business?
Good Form Concrete Solutions.
Good Form Concrete Solutions. Gage, you do concrete, obviously.
Yes, sir.
What all do you guys do as far as in the concrete industry?
So I specialize with homeowners mostly. So driveway replacements, retaining walls, back patio transformations, pretty much anything concrete you can think of around the house. I also pour foundations if you're wanting to do a garage, separate from your home, or if you want to build a whole home, we can do that. Still working on getting the basement forms, but anything single level we can do at the moment. So we've, just celebrated a year full time in my business on Easter.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
And, sky's the limit. So looking to get some more equipment and just keep growing.
Is that a tough industry to be in, concrete?
Very competitive. Probably the most labor intensive. There's always debates, but as far as the physical part of it, concrete's it takes the cake.
Yeah.
I mean, your back, your knees, everything suffers out there, and it's hot in the summertime. But it's my favorite out of all the trades, and I've done a lot of them.
Okay. Who would argue with you the most about it being tougher? Roofers, definitely. And, I got to give them credit because you would not catch me on a roof.
Yeah. I'm scared of heights. I've been up there and I knew that wasn't for me. So.
Yeah. So you've done some other stuff in the trades. Tell us about that.
I've door knocked and I've sold some roofs in my past, but I started off in construction working for a handyman type repair company. So whatever you needed, and I got to learn a lot about different types of trades by bidding on all different types of small jobs. And then from that job, I got introduced into concrete, worked for a large concrete residential company that, nationwide. Worked with them for 3.5 years, 4 years, I think. And then just really mastered kind of that side of the industry. Came back, helped my buddy build his company, Integral Renovations. I'll shout them out. Taylor Scalera, I helped him build the concrete side of his business while also learning how to do remodel bathrooms, refinish basements, deck knowledge. I've worked on deck crews. So, I've kind of just touched on a lot of things over the years, but it's taken time.
So you're pretty handy.
Yeah, I'd say so. My wife, she second guesses everything I do. But
she gets you to fix a lot of stuff around the house.
Yeah. You married?
I'm married. I got 3 kids, 3 boys. I think you also have 3 boys. Is that right?
Soon to be.
Soon to be.
Yeah.
One on the way.
I got 2 now, and one. May 10th is the date, but she's measuring 2 weeks early, so we're thinking it's going to be an April baby.
Awesome. You're very blessed. That's awesome. Congratulations. What do you want your boys to do when you grow up? Do you think you want them to follow in your footsteps and do something totally different, or have you ever thought about it?
I want to raise good men. So, I don't expect. I got a brother, and we're a lot alike, but we're very different. So I don't expect them to be just like me, but I hope I can be a good example for them to model their lives after. That's all. And, whatever it is, whether it's music, sports, that's what I want. But come work with daddy, all for it.
So you got started with your company. I think you began it while you were working for somebody else. Is that right?
Yeah. So it was pretty interesting. As I was, learning and, already had the sales experience in the concrete side. So I picked that up when I was working for that large residential concrete company. And I got to go through the motions of like doing the orders, more production management side of things. And I got all that experience, orchestrating it. And then once you do it so many times,
you're like, hey, I could do this on my own.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Plus I knew the guys, so I was blessed with probably the best concrete finishers that I've seen, out of all the crews I've worked with over the years. My guys are above the rest. And my crew lead, he's younger than me, and he was working on, the big boss's crew when we met at like base level in the industry. Like he was there my first day in concrete, but just working on the crew as like an 18-year-old kid. And now here we are 5-6 years later, and we're doing a lot of things. So it's just I always advise people to just, take numbers and pay attention, because you never know what's going to happen at the end of the day. I didn't know that I was going to be sitting here in this position just 2 years ago. Pay attention and always take numbers down. That's what I'd say.
What do you mean by that?
I mean, if you haven't meet people and exchange information, and because you never know, how you can be of service to somebody or vice versa.
So a lot of it is networking and personal relationships, do you think?
Probably the best, most important thing to having success is marketing and networking. Having a good marketing partner, shout out to Polished Planner, Julie Maddox. She's my marketing partner. She's done a phenomenal job just this past year. So that helps too.
Cool. So what was her name again? Julie
Maddox.
Julie Maddox. Awesome. So what sort of marketing channels are you seeing work for your business?
You got to have a little bit of everything, unfortunately. But, some platforms are good but the best is word of mouth. So, yeah. But, starting out, you got to be on like Angie Leads, or Thumbtack is another good one. That way you can just start winning some jobs and doing some smaller stuff and kind of build from there. Because then you start steamrolling and getting referrals after that.
Yeah. The people that liked your job will refer you to their friends who need some concrete work, right?
Friends, family, more reviews, more Google presence, and, just more validity behind the company. And, real people, not, people pay for fake reviews on Google and stuff all the time. Yeah. I know about it.
Yeah, I've seen some law firms with like several thousand reviews, and I'm like, there's no way.
Yeah, you're not getting 1,000 people to leave you a review. Yeah, I'd have 1,000 reviews if I could get them to. But it's the ones that leave. It means a lot because they took time to do it. Yeah. So I try to stay active, respond to everybody, and I do appreciate everybody who has left me a 5-star. And yeah, I think we've only gotten 5 stars. So.
Cool. Congrats. How hard was it to take that leap from working for somebody else to being your own boss and starting your own company? Is that scary?
Yeah. I mean, there was, you grow. In my case, you got kids, and, and I didn't have a bad position in the companies I was working for, but economy is kind of crazy. At the end of the month, every month, we're just looking, we're not saving, we're not growing under these conditions. So it just got to a point where, a lot of prayer. I had to think about it a lot, because in this instance, I helped build, a friend of mine's business, and I'm thinking about separating and branching off into my own lane, hopefully still being partners and stuff like that. But, which we are, it wound up being a good thing, but it's always tough. And you have to have, really, you got to have the money to do it too, which is also tough because it's a lot of work and saving to do that. So to take on like debt, and that's what scares people into starting off or becoming their own business. But if you believe and you just like wake up every day and put that's your focus, is for me is God. That's what I wake up every day, and that's my main focus. And then from there, everything else just kind of takes care of itself.
So you put your faith in God when you went out on your own. Did you have any, savings lined up, or did you really rely on just hitting the ground running and trying to market for those first few jobs?
Yeah, we invested all the savings we had into branching off.
So this had to work.
Yeah, it had to work. But I knew it could because I was doing it. I was actively in the motions of doing it. So it takes time to have the confidence to leave and to do it. And life's a lot about timing. So I just thinking finally we got one that was in good time, because I had a lot of bad timed events in my life, but this one was a good one.
Something I always in my business look back on is, the quote, "This too shall pass," right? Whether it's a good thing that you're in right now or a bad thing, I mean, it's going to pass and you're going to be on to the next thing. So when I have, cases that we've won and we get too high, I try to make sure, always stay grounded, because there will be a downturn eventually in the business at some point. Hopefully not, but you got to prepare for that sort of the ebbs and flows of being a small business owner.
That is true. Your business is very helpful. And the good thing about my business is when things, there is always the fear of 2008. I hear a lot of, I was a kid back then, but my dad always talks about that time. And I have a mentor. It's one of my dad's, they coach football and stuff together, but he owns a concrete business 30 plus years. And he talks about 2008 and how, it was pretty tough on his family. But there's stuff that in this industry, stuff's always being built and stuff's always breaking. So, there's always somebody who's in need, at least in my experience so far.
Yeah, 2008 was a crazy time. I had just graduated college, so looking to get started in my career, and then the crash hits. And, I think it set a lot of us back a decade. How do you prepare for that next, I guess? I don't want to say that 2008 is going to repeat itself or there's going to be a crash, but, the economy is up and down. Does that affect the concrete business and what you're doing?
It does. Concrete's more expensive. It ebbs and flows too. But, when fuel's up, concrete goes up and everything goes up. That's always passed on to the consumer. So, yeah, we see it with lumber. We see it with all the materials that go into concrete. But and some companies are charging $275 for the 1 yard of concrete, which is, just ask an old timer. They'll be like, back in my day, concrete was $10 a yard, or, what have you. And it's just, it's insane. It can go crazy, but it stays relatively stable, I'd say.
You mean as far as the sales go? People are still...
It won't go up like this, but, it will fluctuate for sure.
Gotcha. Do you do mostly residential? Do you do some commercial? What do you focus on?
I've done a couple of commercial style projects, where we went into warehouses and did these engineered pads for... It was a cool job. It was they were these sewing machines that were spitting out these, rugs. I guess they would weave together yarn, but it had to be on 3 feet of concrete. So it was really thick. We had to go in there and dig out a bunch of dirt from the warehouse and a lot of concrete cutting, but mostly homeowners. I get more reward out of that, dealing with real people, and it's your home. So, and the driveway is one of the first things you see. It is the first thing you see when you pull up to somebody's house. So it's like that good impression that we get to leave when somebody trusts us to take on a project.
You mentioned driveways. A lot of concrete driveways that I've seen or that I've had at my house have cracked. How do you prevent that? Is there a way to prevent that from?
So the saying is there's concrete that will crack. There's concrete that's going to crack or will crack. Either way, it's going to crack at the end of the day. But we take precautions now that you put control joints like every 8 to 10 feet, just depending on how wide the driveway and how long it is. Mm-hmm. So really, we're breaking it up into sections. So if there is a crack, it's not going to spread through the whole driveway, which you'll see on a lot of older, something maybe poured in the 70s, 80s, even 90s, less joints. And when they do start to crack, it's big cracking, big separation. So we just take more measures now to where we can make it into like a grid, like a smaller sections. So even when it does crack, years down the line, a repair is not so far. It's easier to make a repair on something like that. You just cut right along the joints.
Gotcha. Mm-hmm. What sort of pitfalls have you seen in this industry that somebody who's thinking about getting into the concrete industry may want to avoid?
You got to know your client. Not every job's a good job. And that's unfortunate. That's
the same for the legal industry too.
Yeah. Not every job's a good job. And it is what it is. I always want to help everybody and give somebody the benefit of the doubt at first. But like if you start getting red flags or, gut feelings about situations or people as on the contractor side, it's probably just leave that one alone. And be smart about, you don't have to do everything either. I want to grow, and I want to grow at a good rate, but I want to grow, I guess, at like a turtle's pace, because, you can bite off a little too much and it's hard to swallow.
Yeah. They say the turtle beats the hare in the end anyway, right?
That's what they say.
There you go. So growing the right way, doing things the right way. It sounds like you're guided by your faith. Is that accurate?
Yeah. Big time.
Gotcha. How does that inform everything you do, or does it?
It does. I mean, all of my decisions are made through Christ. So, he saved me. We could have a long podcast about my past, but, I was a sinner, and I was not always meant or felt like I was worthy to be in a bit. I never thought I'd be a business owner. I didn't think that I'd do a lot of things based on my past, but, by inviting him back into my life and realizing that is the way, it's just opened up everything. So I've been blessed, and I can see it now. And that's like the most important message I can give. And because I feel that there's like a revival happening in this country, and it's refreshing to see, at least in my town. I can't speak for, other states where I'm not at, but in my community, I can feel it, and it's been the biggest part of my life for sure.
That's awesome. Mm-hmm. Thank you for sharing that. Thanks. Have you had any crazy stories being in the concrete industry? Either a client that was off the wall, or a job that just went sideways, or something just totally unexpected pop up?
I mean, I've seen concrete trucks flip. We've pulled concrete.
Was anybody injured?
No, nobody was injured. But I'm pretty sure they lost their job after that one. Man, I've seen
Tiger Woods driving a concrete truck.
No, not that. God, oh, Tiger. There was one job when I first started off that they sent this driver, and he was brand new. He said he had been on the job like a week. and he didn't know how to operate the truck, I don't think, because when the concrete came down the chute, by the time it was like a foot down the concrete chute, it was bone dry and it was stuck. And he was looking at me, and I'm like, I don't know what to do with your truck. And then at the end of the day, my guys had to get up there and bang on the chute and chisel out all this concrete. I think the whole concrete truck was ruined.
Oh my goodness.
Mm-hmm.
Those are, they can't be cheap trucks.
No. They're not. I couldn't tell you how much it cost, but man, I've seen, what's another one? I've seen them like come by and like bump the bottom of like a power line.
Oh, geez.
And a transformer exploded. That was pretty crazy.
Golly. So who's on the hook when that happens? The driver, their company?
I went about my business. I didn't do it, but I saw nothing. It would be the driver. Yep. In that instance, for sure.
Gotcha. Hopefully they had pretty decent insurance.
Yeah. I don't know what policies they have, but it's got to be high.
What's something unexpected that people would be surprised to hear about the concrete industry?
No, I mean, it's more complicated than you think. Because I've run into people who are just like, it's just concrete.
Mm-hmm.
And there's to get a good finish on, whatever it is, even if it's a 10 by 10 pad, like the tools you need and the experience to have water flow off this pad so it's not, intruding in your home and coming in your garage, like all that is not easy. It's easy on paper, but you got to get out there and show me how you can do it. And if you want to say it's easy, something unexpected, you never know what you're going to find under a driveway too. I've ran into, there's some funny stories. One time we demoed this driveway and there was a family of possums. Yeah. Under the driveway. Mm-hmm. And that was, there was at least a dozen under there and they just scurried out. And I saw the video, thank goodness, because, I had 2 possums in my yard last night and they were massive. They got in, they got some woods in the back and they got in the back somehow. But yeah, they had a whole family in like, about like a 2-foot void under this driveway. So like at any moment that family was driving home, it could have caved in and collapsed.
Golly. Mm-hmm. That's a new one.
Found
possums under the driveway.
Found bikes, lots of construction material, from builders that will just toss trash. No dead bodies or anything. So we have, no, I really hope not. That would knock on wood for that one. But that's unexpected.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say so. What's your goal for the company? What do you want to see? I know that you said you want to take it slow, do things the right way, but what's your long-term vision for good form concrete?
I've thought about this a lot because, there's a lot of different directions that, the Lord can take you. So if I concentrate on the fundamentals, which is providing a good service that people need and, concentrating on the customer and the client, at whatever it is, I think that's going to take me where I want to be. For me personally, I debate whether it's like bigger development, custom homes, there's a lot. I could just be the driveway guy and do that. Build a sales team and, take over Atlanta or take over North Georgia or something with, the right people in place. So there's a few things I'm kind of debating over. But, with my kind of general construction knowledge, probably going to wind up going towards like custom home building or like, bigger development, 5-year plan, 10-year plan.
Gotcha. Mm-hmm. To get into that, what does it take as far as the custom home building? Is that creating relationships with the builders as opposed to the homeowners, or?
It's more like becoming the builder yourself and, having.
Oh, you mean doing the whole entire home? Oh, gotcha. Cool.
From the ground up. So I've been involved with enough projects and, enough people. I have enough. The network that we've built is pretty great. So yeah, we could build some serious homes. I've got carpenters that like I'll shout out David DiGiacomo. He's one of the best carpenters I know in one of the most sought out carpenters in North Georgia. And we've built water slides at, Lake Lanier and just like big custom decks and outdoor spaces. So, I mean, the sky's the limit as far as that goes. But, just having the right licensing and, taking on more liability, going that route. But I think I've got enough of the trades in there that we could go that route, and definitely within 5 years. Probably sooner than that, though.
Yeah. How important are contracts in your business and getting your contract language buttoned up? How big is that?
It's really important. And, I come from, working with companies that have the good verbiage in there. So like, I thought I was pretty protected going into, but I'll share a story. About 3 months into my business, I came across a client, big job, good job. And I didn't really listen to my gut instinct, which was something didn't feel necessarily 100% with the client, but it was good work, and everything was paid for, so we agreed to do the job. I can't get into it too much, but long story short, he didn't pay at the end. And it was not because of anything we did or didn't do. It was just because he didn't want to pay. So I went through the motions of trying to collect my money because we provided a service, and now he no longer wants to respond or anything. I'm not getting anything. So I have no idea what's going on. And, come to find out, he might have been plotting on me from the beginning. I've done some investigating on this person, and he was in a similar instance before. But if you don't have your contracts right, I don't want to share too much about that because it is kind of an open litigation. You got to make sure they're airtight, because if one number's off, if one thing is not right in there, it could be held against you.
Yeah. Do you have an attorney review your contracts? Do you draft them yourself? Do you use ChatGPT? Just out of curiosity.
I kind of modeled my contracts after some ones I had already been a part of. So, I knew a lot of the verbiage that needed to go in there, but yeah, ChatGPT is helpful for building contracts. A lot of those AI, they're great for that purpose. I wouldn't use them so much for like measuring. Like a lot of people are getting a little lean or relying on AI a lot.
Yeah.
I have a lawyer that we're in talks of reviewing them. He's reviewed my contracts now, and they're good, but you got to review them once, like Santa Claus, like 2-3 times. Otherwise, even if it's good, if it says the wrong thing, then you screwed yourself up.
Yeah, especially if it comes to a dispute on the job, right? Most of the time, it's probably not going to make a big difference, but that one time where you actually need it to say what you need it to say,
right?
It better be in there,
right?
For sure.
And that's what it is. It's contracting. So it's like at the end of the day, it's my job to make sure the contract's right. I take responsibility, and if there was a mistake on my part, but what I know in this case is that the work is perfect and there's no issues with that. This guy he's one of those guys who's probably done this to a lot of other people.
Yeah.
And there's people like that out there. So any new people starting out, like, be careful who you contract with.
Gotcha.
That was like 3 months in my business. And if if I hadn't been blessed and had, some good things going, then that could have really hurt me.
Yeah.
And put me out.
Well, that's good advice to make sure that you know who you're working with. On the flip side, what advice would you give to a consumer who is looking for a concrete contractor? How do they choose?
You got to look at reviews and call on them. Like if you can get references and verify those references, I would probably do that, especially if you really don't know. Because there's 100 guys like me, like probably 1,000 guys that claim they can do the same thing. But when you're getting estimates for contractors, the rule of thumb is to get at least 3. Some people want more, but if you got at least 3, then you're on the right track. So that way you can compare. And if somebody's too cheap, that's a red flag. Somebody's too high, probably a red flag too. But if you have vet somebody, that's kind of where we fall, is like good, fair. Like we're not. I don't want to undervalue my company and the quality we bring, and I'm not. I know what these other guys charge, and it's like I'm not here to get rich off one job. I'd rather serve as many people as I can and make a good living than try to get rich off one job.
And have a sustainable business that is going to bring you more business rather than, I may have made a windfall on this job, but I didn't leave a good taste in the customer's mouth probably.
A lot of people do that.
Yeah.
A lot of people, don't pay their vendors or what have you. That's another thing that homeowners should probably look into, is having like a lien waiver or something like that. A lot of customers don't do it. A lot of them don't know about it. But what it is like, these fly-by-night guys that don't pay their bills, they're going to come after the homeowner.
Yeah.
At the end of the day. So that piece of paper right there protects you. And I got no problem signing it because we pay our bills. So
right. So you're saying if a customer hires a concrete company to do a job, and maybe the vendor that supplies the concrete doesn't get paid by the concrete company, they're going to put a lien on your property, right? That's what you're talking about.
That's what I'm talking about.
So the homeowner definitely needs to make sure they hire the right concrete company in that situation.
Yeah. And that lien waiver is just an extra protection. That's just basically stating that you can't do that.
Yeah.
This responsibility is going to fall on you. So nobody does it. I'd say maybe like 10%, maybe 5% of the customers I've dealt with over
ask you to sign a lien waiver or ask the vendor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I would, if it was my driveway and I didn't know, who was coming to work on it. That's what I would probably recommend.
That's good advice. Where can people find those lien waivers? Can they find them online or?
Yeah. You can have ChatGPT create you one, or, I'm sure there's plenty online that you can find, or come talk to you. Maybe you can do something like that.
Yep. All right. Anything else that you want to tell the world or Northeast Georgia about the concrete industry and what you guys do?
Just give us a shot. If you want to come check us out, we're available. I'm available 6 days a week. So I'm just happy to be here and happy for the opportunity to, spread the word. And if you want a fair price on concrete, and we can help you out with that. So
you guys work Saturdays too?
Sometimes. Reluctantly. Not too much. Well, maybe we shouldn't put that out.
We'll tell the whole world.
Okay.
It's not like it's going on the internet or anything.
Okay. Yeah. For the right client, we'll do it.
Okay. How can people find you guys?
You can find us on Facebook, Good Form Concrete Solutions, Facebook, Instagram. We have a website, goodformsolutions.com. You can call me directly, 678-620-9420. You can Google us and find us. So, man, I just appreciate being on here.
I enjoyed it. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Gage Holsombeck. This has been another episode of the Mind Your Own Business podcast. If you need concrete work done, Good Form Concrete, highly recommended. Do excellent work. Guided by faith. I appreciate it. Thank you, Gage.